Okay, let's talk about if statements and loops. Okay, I think you're gonna like the interesting twist in Go on these. Okay, so usually in other programming languages, I would be like, if, then I would put an expression, meaning like, if x is greater than y, and if that's true, then it would execute whatever code I have in these curly braces over here. And that's pretty much the same thing here in Go. The only difference is I don't need the parentheses. So I can get rid of this parentheses, and that's a functioning loop. So if I can say if x is greater than y, uh, run this if statement. So let's give that a shot. So first, let's put something to happen. So let's put fmt dot capital P print. Nope, double quotes. Hello. See, I'm learning. Okay, and then we need to define an x and y. So let's say x equals 5 and y equals 4. And let's just do some indentation to make this look prettier. And there we go. That's much prettier looking code. Okay, so technically if x is greater than y, which 5 is greater than 4, it should print hello. Missing return at the end of function. What function? Oh, that's right. I'm still writing in the function definition from the previous class. So I did delete the main. Okie dokie. So let me delete all this. Okay, I need to put back the func main. Cool. And expected end of file, expecting compiler exit status 2. See, the problem is I need an extra bracket right over here. See, there we go. Now they match. So again, this is why indentation matters. So there we go. That matches that. So I got these two brackets matching here and these two brackets matching here. Nice. Okay, so again, this is func main. That means the beginning of the program. If x is greater than y, print hello. So let's see if it does exactly that. Oh, I deleted my def when I defined x and y when I was cleaning that up. Okay, so let's do that again. X equals 5, y equals 4. Okay, some indentation, run. Hello, so it works. The if statement works. Now, if I change this to 4 and 5, it should not print hello because it's not true anymore. Cool. Okay, this just gets back to if you're new to programming, if this is your first programming language, I have been kind of talking about this, assuming that you've kind of probably done a programming language before. There's another type of variable. So there's integers, which are just round numbers, your floats, which are numbers with decimal points, your strings, which are a bunch of letters. But then you also have your Boolean type variables, which is a true or false. So essentially, when I put out this expression, whenever you put out an expression like x is greater than y, it's going to evaluate that and return a value, either true or false. And that is just a value. It's actually type of variable. And something like an if statement only runs if it returns the true value. If it returns a false value, it will not run. Okay, and that's an if statement. And then again, just like any other language, you have an else, which means if x is greater than y is true, it runs this. But if I want something else to happen, if it's false, I can just write else after the if statement, but it's a new curly braces, and say format print goodbye. And that's going to error because I use single quotations, which I keep doing. Okay, bad JavaScript habits. Okay, save. See, and that time it printed goodbye because that was false. 4 is not greater than 5. Now if I change it back to 5 and 4, and then I run it, ta-da, hello. And it doesn't print goodbye because the else only happens if the if didn't go through. So that's the ins and outs of a if and else statement. Pretty straightforward. Just ask yourself, do I want this to happen? If not, this happens. I can make a bunch of if statements. I can keep doing else's, all sorts of good stuff. Cool. Now there's that. The thing about an if statement though, it only happens once. So basically I'm just saying if this is true, happens once. What if I want something to happen over and over again? That's loops. But unlike other languages, which sometimes have while loops, for loops, and other types of loops, okay? And then I think in Ruby you have like loops that run if it's false. Like that blew my mind. But here you only have one type of loop because one type of loop can do it all. So why have the other ones? And that is a for loop. Okay, now traditionally your standard for loop works like this. You declare an operator. So I'm going to say, variable, we'll just say I equals 0. Okay, then you would do a semicolon. Keep looping as long as I is less than 5. And then every time we go through the thing, every time we do a loop, at the end of the loop, you're going to add 1. So plus plus means add 1 to I. Okay? And then we create a new set of curly brackets for this for loop. Okay? Format dot print hello. Okay, now if this works right, what's going to happen is at the beginning of the for loop, it creates I and makes it worth 0. Every time the loop happens, the loop will continue to happen long as I is less than 5. But at the end of each iteration, each time through the loop, it's going to add 1 to I. So after the first loop, I becomes 1, then it becomes 2, then it becomes 3, then it becomes 4. So it happens for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so it should happen 5 times. Okay? So we should see 5 hellos on the console. Oh, because I didn't use them. So let's comment those out. Again, control / and that comments that out. Run. Wait, no child process. What did I accidentally comment out? Let's see here. I got my 2 curly braces there. I got my 2 curly braces here. Okay, everything seems to be fine. So if I run it again, say it prints hello 5 times. If I want a hello on a separate line, what I would need to do is put a new line character, which is a \n. Backslash is always what's called an escape character. So certain things like let's say I want to have a quotation mark in the middle of my thing, and I don't want. So you see, like it wraps it in quotation marks. So if I put a quotation mark in the middle, how does it not know that I'm not ending my string? That's what the escape character does. So I can put a backslash, quotation mark. Okay, and the first quotation mark would show up as part of the string. So you see, you don't see the backslash, but you see the quotation mark as part of the string. Hello, 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 hello. But what I can do is also if I do \n, it then prints to another line. So now I have hello on 5 lines. Cool. So that's one way to use a for loop. Cool. Now you may be wondering, what about the old school while loops? What if I want to do something like a while loop? Well, then what you do is you just take this out. So you keep the first semicolon because you're not going to create a variable, and you keep the last semicolon. You just don't put anything around it and keep the part in the middle. It's the same thing as an old school while loop. It's just an expression. And long as the expression is true, it loops. So in that case, what you would have to do is first you'd have to declare the variable I before. So I equals 0. And then instead of incrementing over here, you would just increment within the loop or create your exit, whatever's going to cause you to break the loop later on. So I++. And this should essentially have the same effect. See, 5 hellos. And then the other thing you can do is you can just have nothing at all, and this just creates an infinite loop. Okay, so that means you need to create some sort of condition in which the loop would break. So what we do is let's say there's hello 5, okay, I plus plus, and then I create an if statement at the end. Actually, let me put the I plus plus afterwards. If I equals 5, then I would use the command break. Now what break does, oh, I have my function, don't want that in the parentheses. I want that outside the parentheses. Okay, and I would just put in break. What break does, it breaks you out of a loop. So if you're in a loop and you hit break, you're out. Okay, so that breaks me out of the loop whenever I is equal to 5. Okay, and again, when you're checking for equality, 2 equal signs. Cool, and it prints at 5. Well, in that case, 6 times because I started at 0. So that works. Okay, so those are the different ways you can use a for loop. So you can make it an infinite loop. You can pretty much turn it into a while loop by only keeping the middle argument. And you can just use a traditional for loop. Now, other thing you can do, okay, is if you can actually put loops within loops within loops within loops. Okay. So what you can do is you can put a label. So let's say I call this outer. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put another infinite loop, then another infinite loop in that loop. And within each loop, when it starts, it's going to print, format that print I. So it's just going to print 0. Okay. Let me just copy that. So basically, first that loop will start, then it'll start this loop and print 0 again, then it'll start this loop and print 0 again. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to write break outer. So what this will do is instead of just breaking this loop, it'll actually break you all the way up to the label outer. So that way you break all 3 loops at one time. So let's make sure that works. Cool, and it worked. It printed 3 zeros because first it printed this, then it printed this, then it printed this, and then it broke, and then the program was over because after the loop there's nothing. Okay, so that's conditionals, loops, all that fun stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'll see you guys in the next video.